Happy Independence Day to you and all. Welcome in. This is July 4th, the birth of our country, the United States of America. Although I think technically uh, the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 2nd, or was built on July 2nd, but they had to wait till July 4th. So I think what that means is we should have 3-day holiday from the 2nd through the 4th. I'm Marsh, joined by JK on this Thursday holiday morning. Good morning, JK. How are you?
Good morning, Marsh. Happy 4th of July. Gonna be a big day. You got any big plans for the holiday or?
This is my big plan. SimWorld today. It's a very active day for me, clearly. What about
I
you?
mean,
Do
that's the
you have a
biggest
big
plan you can
plan?
get. That is the biggest plan you can get for the 4th of July. My plan is just to continue creating some great content for SimWorld Hoops. So,
A company man, I see. A company man. All right, well, let's get to it. We're switching up. Normally, we've been kicking off with some SWBA. Not today. That's coming up second. But first, we're talking All-Stars and the SWLB announced. 3 Phillies headline this list. A talented group, obviously. Phillies, top of the NL East right now. Bryce Harper, Alec Baum, Trey Turner, all of them headed to the SWLB All-Star Game. The Padres get a couple of representatives out there. Shohei Ohtani headlining it for the Dodgers in the NL. Over on the AL, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto for the Yankees, and every other team. Just a couple. Orioles with 2, Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman. JK, your thoughts, your takeaways from the starters for the SWLB All-Star Game.
absolutely, Marsh. What an introduction right there. The thing that really stood out to me about the SWLB All-Stars was that Marcell Ozuna has been having the best season of his career. He's in his 30s now. He's 33 years old. He has 20 homers. He's near or at the top of every single statistic in the National League, but didn't even get the DH nod over Shohei Ohtani. I understand Ohtani has been absolutely incredible in his first season for the Dodgers, but we got to give some credit to Marcell Ozuna, man. He's having a great season. People thought that he didn't have a ton left in the tank, but he's really proving people wrong. With Ronald Acuna out of the lineup for the Atlanta Braves, Marcell Ozuna has stepped up admirably. But another thing I really want to touch on is that shortstop position in the National League. Trey Turner missed 6 weeks of the season, and managed to still get the All-Star spot. Mookie Betts was a shoo-in before he got hurt, but Trey Turner, I was a little bit surprised by that, but I understand the competition wasn't necessarily as stiff as I maybe would have liked to imagine.
So, JK, this is the best thing that I like to do when we're talking All-Star games and All-Star starters. If you're trying to put Ozuna in, you're trying to take Shohei Ohtani out. I mean, I understand the sentimentality of a 33-year-old having a season that many people might not have thought he would, but are we really going to remove Shohei Ohtani from the game, or first base Bryce Harper? Are we going to remove one of these elite baseball players from the game because somebody's having a nice season that we didn't expect them to have? Is that the platform that you're running on?
Absolutely not, but I think Marcell Ozuna deserves credit. He wasn't even the runner-up in terms of votes at his position. Kyle Schwarber was, and he's having a better year than Kyle Schwarber. He's hitting for more average. He's hitting for just as many homers and RBIs. Marcell Ozuna's been great this season. I'm just giving credit where it's due.
Now, as somebody who follows baseball from an all-star standpoint, a little less probably as closely as you, are these votes done by fans? Is it like the SWBA where it's all fan votes decides the starters?
It's fan votes, but the 2 top vote getters in each league, which was Bryce Harper and Aaron Judge, got automatic bids to the All-Star game because they were the leading vote getter in their respective leagues. I mean, obviously deserving. Aaron Judge is on a triple crown pace right now. Is probably going to win the AL MVP if he keeps this up. But
well, I think because that's the other piece of it, right? Is first off, okay, so I'm not gonna take. I understand your frustration with okay, he's not even second. That's Kyle Schwarber. Okay, that's a fair point. But he's not better than Shohei Ohtani. So we're not gonna put Shohei Ohtani down ballot just because. And the second piece of it, fan votes are always skewed, right? I mean, they are. There's no. Let me paraphrase this because I've said that player votes are also skewed. There is no perfect recipe for this. There's always going to be skewing of votes. But when it's a fan vote, they're just hammering home their favorite team. And it's why you see these best vote getters, or best teams have the most vote getters, because the favorite team is like, hey, yeah, we want our guys to show up to the All-Star game, so we're just going to pound the ever-living hell out of the votes. In the case of Shohei Ohtani, you're also dealing with a guy who's got the name brand recognition, so fans across the league are going to want him in the All-Star game, much like a LeBron James. And then you're in a major LA market, and then he's also just freaking awesome. So I can understand it, but I mean, I'm not going to play a game of saying, yeah, Shohei Ohtani shouldn't be the DH when he's the best player in baseball. If you look at when he's not dealing with Tommy John issues, the complete body of work, he doesn't deserve to not be there just because somebody's having a sentimental season.
Absolutely not. It's not sentimental, Mark. I just think it's worth noting. But on the American League side of things, Garner Henderson getting the All-Star starting nod over Bobby Witt. That's been the age-old debate of who is the best shortstop in the American League. I personally believe Bobby Witt deserves it because what he does to that Royals offense, unmatched. Garner Henderson has 26 homers, 960 OPS, and he's been great for the O's this season. But again, credit has to be given where it's due. Both deserve that spot. So it really puts us fans and us media members in a pickle when voting for something like this, like you mentioned.
Well, that's all. That's the fun of it, right? We gotta choose somebody. It goes back to the peak Nomar versus Jeter argument of the early 2000s, which might be touch before your time, JK. But I think that's my favorite argument, especially in baseball, is the shortstop, just because of the traditionality, if that's a word, of the position and the value that the player has for their team. Speaking of value, let's go SWBA, where LeBron James, if you missed the days of LeBron James signing 1+1 deals, I got some good news for you. Those days are back as LeBron James signs a max 2-year deal, which is $104 million player option on the second year. We're harkening back to our Cleveland Cavaliers days, where old LeBron would do just that. No surprise, though. He said very publicly he's going to take a pay cut if the Lakers could sign somebody, and as he looks around Pulp Fiction style, he sees no stars have joined him except for the star in waiting, Bronny James. So, your takeaways, JK. 2-year deal, but let's call it a 1-year deal for LeBron James.
I mean, this is a foregone conclusion. Let's be real here. They drafted Bronny James. We knew as soon as they drafted Bronny, who is making $8 million on his rookie contract, which I find to be a little bit excessive. I think that we all knew that this would happen. LeBron wanted to play with Bronny. We knew he was going to end up likely staying on the Lakers. Him and AD, they have a team that is good enough to contend for a title, but the Western Conference is so stacked that they aren't at that point yet. They have D'Angelo Russell. They're looking to trade D'Angelo Russell. I think he could be on the move. I mentioned it yesterday. Look out for Darius Garland of the Cleveland Cavaliers now that Donovan Mitchell signed his extension. I think that could be a match made in heaven. A young, good three-point shooting point guard who could learn a lot from the tutelage of a guy like LeBron James. I think that is absolutely a great fit. But in terms of LeBron, I think we all knew he would retire a Laker. He wanted to play with his son. He's going to be able to, even though Bronny, in all likelihood, will be spending his season on the South Bay Lakers in the NBA G League, or SWBA G League. But I think that LeBron James is at that point where he's so dominant for his age. He's 39, about to turn 40 in January, and is still playing like he's 30, 31 years old. And I think he's one of the most impressive players I've ever seen play with my own eyes. And I have to, again, give credit where it's due, Marsh.
Well, yeah, sure. Hey, 38 years old, playing like he's 30-something. Certainly worth crediting. What I find fascinating of all this is twofold. The first easy one is that his max deal takes them $1 million over the second apron. I've talked about the punishment of doing that. Wouldn't be surprised, as reported by Adrian Wojnarowski, that they're contemplating having a conversation about lowering that contract so that they're underneath that second apron. Because $1 million, that's a lot. It's not a lot. To your point on Bronny James, $8 million is total. I mean, over 4 years, you're averaging $2 million It's pretty normal for a second round pick in the SWBA. It's a large number, but over a 4-year deal, that's really not too much. It's pretty market value. But I think what's interesting about this is that the Lakers can't get anybody, and they haven't been able to get anybody, whether that's in trades, whether that's in free agency. Since LeBron James and Anthony Davis have come to Los Angeles, they don't have a track record of dudes lining up to go be Lakers. I mean, ever since the Kobe days, once Kobe retired, we didn't really have stars forcing their way to the Los Angeles Lakers. It just doesn't happen. Kawhi Leonard could have done it, went to the Clippers. Kevin Durant could have done it, went to the Suns. Paul George could have done it, he went to the Clippers. Then he goes to the Sixers. The stars of the world are no longer interested in becoming Los Angeles Lakers. And this wasn't a star-studded class. And sure, they did not have a chance. They might have had a chance to do a sign and trade, but it would have been tough to pull off for Paul George. But not even Klay Thompson wants to go be a Los Angeles Laker. Part of that is obviously his personal preference to start new, if you've read any of the reporting on that. But I think what this is fascinating to me is that I don't think it's LeBron James necessarily. Maybe it is. No one wants to be his teammate outside of Anthony Davis, who was his golden child of the clutch sports genome. I mean, this is, I think, a continued deterioration of the Los Angeles Lakers brand, and it is spoken loudly by the players in this league that are time and time again saying, I don't want to either take a pay cut or I don't want to go play with the Los Angeles Lakers.
And I think that's a great point, Marsh. Look at them when they got their third star a couple years ago in Russell Westbrook. That crashed and burned.
That's not even a star. That's
at the time, I think he was.
We got different definitions of stars if we're calling Russell Westbrook after his Washington Wizards days a star. Look, Russ has had a fantastic career, but he wasn't a star by that point. He had fallen off the face of the earth over the last 2 years in Houston. He couldn't shoot a jump shot anymore, and as soon as he got there, it was a regret that Lay GM had most certainly hanging over. I think that deal, JK, is I think what ended LeBron James trying to be a general manager, because it crashed and burned so quickly in his face with how poorly that team played with Russ and how little Russell Westbrook wanted to be there after the first 6 months of that marriage. It was just downhill from there.
But and they traded Kyle Kuzma in that trade. They sent Kyle Kuzma to Washington in that trade. They could really use a guy like Kyle Kuzma right now.
They could. All right, let's move on to our last topic, which is some SimWorld prep news that we are breaking here on SimWorld today. Not recruiting news, but not too far removed from it. We have an announcement on the Quad, the SW Final Four, calling it the Quad, and a location has been named. We are headed to Chicago and the United Center for next season's Quad as part of the Hoops area. A very exciting announcement in Chicago to be the first location of the Quad. JK, your thoughts?
Oh, well, I think we're going to see the best basketball in the United Center hardwood since Derrick Rose and Michael Jordan, honestly. The Chicago Bulls basketball hasn't been particularly flattering, but back to SimWorld Prep. This is a great spot for it. It's a big city, a big market, easily marketable, and I'm ready to go cover this game in Chicago and kind of sightsee my way around that city. I don't know about you, and I'm really loving the new logo for the Quad. I think that SimWorld Hoops has got some great minds over there on our graphics team, and they cooked with that one.
Well, I think the best win here is for us as fans. I despised how the championship games would be played in oversized football arenas that just don't look right. I love that we're going back to a basketball arena where you have the intimacy and the emotions and the fans right on top of the floor, as opposed to stacking 100,000 people in. I get why. I understand why underneath the old format they would do that.
Money.
Yes, exactly. I completely understand it, but from a viewership and basketball standpoint, it's garbage. So I am very happy to see that we are returning to basketball venues. I might have my foot in my mouth if they ever decide to change tune and go to bigger arenas. But for now, to be in a basketball arena and have a basketball game played in a basketball arena, massive win for all involved. All right, that is our show today. That is our show here on the 4th of July. Thank you, JK, for taking time out of your holiday morning. Thank you all for watching on this holiday morning. Please enjoy. Remember, if you're going to do two things, if you're going to do anything next Saturday, it's going to be watching the McDonald's All-American game right here on SimWorld TV. That's at 1 p.m. If you're going to do a second thing, it's remember to not use your hands when starting a firecracker because you want those 10 digits to last past today and through this weekend for the rest. Two little pieces of advice for you. You got plans next Saturday at 1 o'clock already. You're welcome. And then two, don't blow off a hand. Don't blow off a finger here on the 4th of July. All right, happy holidays to Will. You've done that many times? Is that what you just said?
I've seen that one too many
You've
times.
seen it. Yeah, so as
a New York Giants fan, that scares me because of what Jason Pierre-Paul did
That's
to his hand.
JPP. That's what I'm thinking of. All right, we will catch you on the other side of this break tomorrow morning here on SimWorld Today on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.
This has been a presentation